All right. Good afternoon or good morning, depending from where you're joining, and welcome to a fast charge overview of the Spanish energy storage market. My name is Dee. I'm the project manager for our first ever storage event happening on the 16th of November in Madrid. So the topic of energy storage is currently one of the hottest in the energy industry, and it holds immense potential for the future. However, as we dive into this exciting realm, numerous questions linger. Questions about the capacity market, the financial viability of standalone storage projects, and the overall business case are at the forefront of our exploration today. This webinar will provide an efficient and impactful overview to charge up your local energy storage knowledge. And in the lead up to the conference, where we will explore more deeply the potential with a room full of experts such as Asealen, OMI, and other pioneers. So this is the structure of the webinar. It'll be around 35 minutes with 10 minutes question time, so you can get all your questions in. And this is the speaker. So we have Raul, who is the director of Asealen, and he will highlight the main themes of discussion for energy storage in Spain, followed by Valentin, who will then, the global practice lead for DNV, who will show where we stand on technology, the market and investments, as well as the evolving business case. So a quick introduction, if you didn't already know, at SolarPlaza, we specialize in organizing solar conferences for attendees to share knowledge and network. We also have the consultancy, where we help with kind of market entry and project development, as well as the foundation, where we try to accelerate the energy transition for all. So both of these, we have interesting projects in the way, and I do invite you to visit these in your own time. And without further ado, with practical notes, we have questions, so you can use the chat box on the side. Basically, if you any technical issues, the amazing technical assistant today, Selena, we will get to them basically. And at the end, you will get your webinar slides and the recordings. You will all get it online, so you won't miss a bit. Now, without further ado, I will give the floor to you, Raul. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Dee. It's a pleasure to be here. I don't know Dee, if I have the presentation, or do you share the presentation for me? I'm not sure about. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you again. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, SolarPlaza. It's a pleasure to be here. Storage, it's probably the main interesting topic in Spain today, but probably is the most unknown, no? Because the situation is perhaps a bit new, but I'll try to show you that it is not new, but perhaps, or for sure, we need some new development or some little steps in order to close the loop. No? So, thank you very much. Let me introduce of Asealen. Asealen is a non-profit association of companies involved in energy storage with all available technologies. Our goal is to develop a storage in order to accelerate the decarbonization of the electricity sector, but to the thermal uses, no? The use of heat provided by electricity or other renewable generation. So today we are more or less 43 companies, very different sizes, very different activities. Some of them are manufacturers, technologists, engineers, producers, consultants, all the whole chain of the storage, and several technologies: batteries, pumped hydro, thermal energy storage, air liquid, and probably other new or a bit less known technologies. So what about storage in Spain? This is a little comparison between the PNIEC, the National Energy Climate Plan Spain in version 2020 and the current version. This in the right side. So the difference between these two options or versions are that the storage has been aggruppated instead of studied in different lines. So today we can think that we have an increase of the storage goal, but the increase is not so big as we can see or as we can think. The conclusions of these different ways to show the info is that if in 2025 there is no pump storage in operation, and we assume that the 2020 figure is correct, is firm, then the goal to batteries in 2025, it should be about 2,400 megawatts. This number, this figure is in line, is similar as our own estimation of the recovery plan grants. So the development for behind the meter storage linked to self-consumption, it should be more or less 600 megawatts with storage capacity of about 2 hours. The expectative for a standalone project, it should be more or less in 500 megawatts. And the power installed, the capacity installed, collocated, and utilization with renewable plants, PV, wind, or hydro, it should be about 1,300 megawatts. We have to add here the estimation of the goal for new pump hydro. We can guess or we can suppose that the goal for 2030 is the same that was set in the National Energy and Climate Plan version of 2020. So if we will have 3,500 megawatts of new pump hydro, then batteries and other possible technologies, but it should be most of them batteries in 2030 could achieve about 9 gigawatts of new power, of new capacity in storage. We don't know because the National Energy Climate Plans didn't say. Probably 2 hours of duration. So we have to count too that in the 22 total amount of gigawatts, sorry, of total amount of storage power, we have to the CSP, the thermosolar power plant storage and thermal storage. That's a different figure because we assume that such of storage is only to move energy. It will not be able to charge from the grid, but this is an assumption. So in this amount of 22 gigawatts, we have to think in this technology. So what about regulation? We have been 3 years in evolution. Okay, energy storage strategy and the storage definition was the first step that the government did. It was in 2020. After that, the grid access and connection was established as a producer. It means that we have to ask for grid access in the same way as producers. So we have to compete for the same capacity, for the same grid capacity available in the grid. But in addition, we have to, or the point of the grid has to have the capacity for demand, because we are a producer, but storage is a demand too. In this point, the most singular thing that we hope in next years will be a possibilities the flexibility connection or flexibility access to the grid. The permitting was updated or clarified, and in the regulation you can, or this kind of facilities can be approved in the same way as a producer a renewable energy power plant. Okay, but we have to think, or we have to take in account that storage today is not a renewable energy, so this kind of benefits that has a renewable power plant, if we can or if we need to apply for the storage facilities in the case of standalone plants, we should ask for the entity, the minister or the regional governments, in order to be sure that we can use that kind of benefits. Energy market was updated too, OMIE, the Iberian operator market. Then the conclusion is that you have to, or the facilities have to operate with a buy unit and a sell unit. So the two different units. In the beginning, it was over the table the possibility that storage could operate as one facility, as an unit with different options, no? With positive and negative operation. But after that, this has been the chosen solution that I think is easier and faster the implementation. So it's a good solution. And the ancillary services, these other markets, these other services that in Spain are under the TSO, the Red Eléctrica market, they are almost completed. No? In the last years and even in the last days, there had been different public consultation or about technical restrictions, about tertiary and secondary modification in order to include or to be closer that the European platform for these services. The voltage control is in a near future public consultation, and the Black Star service was in public consultation a few months ago. So in conclusion, in the next months, thinking in mid 2024, these procedures, all these services will be completed, and storage could participate as a standalone project or as a collocated facility without any problem. This is the expectation. So show me the money. No? Where is the problem then? If almost most of the regulation is finished, the situation that we have today, that the tools that this government has decided to promote or to foster the storage is use their recovery plan. So during the last day, they have launched different grants for self-consumption and storage. This is behind the meter storage. Other grants for an innovative energy storage research and development. That this was closed. It was a very little grant. The big one until today grants was the Collocated or hybrid storage grants that was finishing in March of this year. We hope that in the next weeks the government will contact with the participants in this grant in order to get subsanation in case of they need it, and probably will be solved in the next month or probably in November. Not solved, the probably will be the provisional resolution. Other grants related with the storage was in the repowering wind farm and small hydro power plants. And in Canary Islands, there was several storage grants for self-consumption and behind the meter. Very little facilities. Okay. And in July, it was another grant for renewable energy generation in islands linked to hydrogen, production of hydrogen electrolyzer, or storage. Okay, and today the current or the ongoing grant is the Standalone or pump hydro or thermal storage, the three different technologies grants that they are open until next month. No, so in addition of this, we or the sector are expected the capacity payments or the capacity markets. So in Spain was another capacity in 2021. This is stopped. All the sector wants to be running, but the real situation is that is stopped. So in this moment, this time, as you know, the Commission, the European Commission, Parliament Commission, and the Council are going to start the trilogues for the European market reform, and we have to think that in this reform, there are new tools, new instruments, new facilities for foster the non-fossil flexibility. So after this moment, we will have to, or we will be able to use two different mechanisms or two different tools, the as usual capacity markets supported by a need of new capacity, and this other instrument that we don't know how it is going to be because it's in current negotiation, based in flexibility. But our expectation is that during 2024 we will have a draft of this document for Spain, and probably in 2025 we will have a call for these markets, for these capacity payments. What we don't know if this capacity or this call will be available only for new capacity or for new capacity and existing capacity. This is perhaps the main problem or the main situation that the government will have to solve. And the other relevant point with these capacity payments markets is what are going to be the different rating factors in different technologies and different durations of the storage. This probably will be set by Red Eléctrica, by the TSO, but we don't know what they are going to choose. So this is an important thing for this market. But today in Spain we have a lot of storage, only pump storage, but we have an important capacity of storage, about 4 gigawatts for pump storage, linked with 6 gigawatts of turbine of this capacity. In the last years, usually these facilities aren't be used too much, but as we can see in the last two columns, 2022 and 2023, especially 2023, the facilities has begun to operate in achieving even the maximum capacity. These years we are currently, this is a value of a year complete, year to date. So we are closing to 5 gigawatts of turbine production and about 9 gigawatts hour for consumption of these facilities. In this other graph, we can show the evolution, the change of the use of these facilities. The yellow line is the the evolution of the 2023 year, and we can watch how the impact of PV production fundamentally is increasing the use of these pump facilities that in the past the usual use was at night, no, with low demand. So today these facilities are affected, or they start to work when there is low demand or when there is low renewable production, very linked with PV, but not only. This is the same graph the same information in other graph. This is an evolution of the consumption of these pump hydro facilities, and as we can see, this is different years. The graph is in negative, so this figure is 900. In that case, is the value of January 2023. It's a consumption, and this is the maximum consumption. So usually the pattern is low consumption in summer, high consumption in winter, and in the last 2 years, we can observe, we can watch a change, a hard change in this pattern. But okay, why do we need storage in Spain? Also, in this slide, I can show you different services. One of them is storage renewable energy. The other reason is to cover the production at night. Other use is to cover or to substitute, to get a substitute, or to get other technology in order to close the combined cycles. With a lot of renewable, the Iberian system needs to have synchronized combined cycles for a security of supply. And the other way is the last resource. No, if we want to be or to get a 100 or a 95% renewable system, we need a big amount of storage in order to substitute the gas, the combined cycles. So these services are resumed in this graph. How are the different revenue streams of the storage in Spain? Today we have the arbitrage, so the energy shifting, as we saw. But the other services that are available are the technical restrictions that are shown or are regulated by the Operation Procedure 3.1 for Electrica. Replacement reserves, the PO 33, secondary as an automatic frequency restoring reserves, and in the PO 7.2, and tertiary in the PO 373. In the next, Valentin's control is open today. It has been in a test during several months, but it is regulated by the PO 7.4. And Black Star is a new service that today is a draft. It has been under public consultancy by Electrica, and it will be called PO 7.6. So, thinking in a collocated plan instead of a standalone plan, we have to think that the storage could be in demand, could be linked, collocated with production, or it could be alone, standalone, directly connected to the grid. But in case of the collocated facility, this is a very gross reflection. I'm trying to go very fast. But if we have a PV plant with ratio income capex about 10%, about 0.10. If we want to include or to collocate a base system in this facility, it could be more or less, it could hit this ratio to decrease more or less half of the original to 5%. Okay, so if we want to recover the original ratio incomes capex of 10%, as you can see there, we should increase the average price and change for an average price of 40 euros to 22 euros per megawatt hour. So this is a very easy example, but this is what we have to think in order to understand what is the cost of substitute some hours in the day exactly, or in order with a 2 hours per system, if we have to reduce the use of combined cycles in the peak in the morning. These numbers we can see to thinking that our plant can suffer different restrictions, different curtailments, different situations. So if our incomes will reduce from 7 million or 7.6 million to 6 million, or with by consequence of the reduction of the operation hours, this ratio decrease, but it not decrease until or to the half as in the page before. To achieve or to get down to this ratio, the incomes has to be reduced in number of operation, and it has to reduce to the average prices. In this case, if we can add a storage system of 2 hours and the same situation as before, but with the same ratio, the same low ratio, we need to increase to the previous average price. And in this case, we can see 1,500 hours with a price about 28 hours, and the 400 hours that could get by the storage should, or they need a price, a real result now, or a price net sell price of 80 or about 85 hours. So this is in my opinion, a very easy, a very first contact for the situation of storage in Spain, and we hope we will go forward in the event in November, and I hope see you there and talk about what you did. So thank you very much, Valentin. It's your turn. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Raul. Well, hello everyone. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you very much to the SolarPlaza for the invitation. So here we can start going to the next slide, I guess. It seems I have it. Perfect. So let's start. So really quickly to introduce DNV. Well, many of you probably already know her. DNV is worldwide large company. If we look only at the energy system this area of DNV, so the part where I sit, we are more than 4,000 experts. We work on several parts of the value chain of the energy sector, and specifically for what stands for what relies to energy storage. We've been doing the first battery performance score, for instance, for battery storage in 2018. We have some full-scale testing facility for hydrogen. We've been working already on around more than 2.5, actually 3 gigawatts of battery storage business case analysis. And this is basically with all this knowledge and background that I'm trying to summarize today for you, with some insights around the business case and the financing opportunities that we may have for the storage sector in Spain. So to start, in a nutshell, so where do we stand? If we look at the technologies, well, the technology is ready. If we speak about battery storage, here we focus on battery storage in particular, because we will be focusing on the coming years, and in the coming years, the main developments we will see in terms of energy storage will be around battery storage, mostly lithium-ion actually. So well, the technology is ready, it's competitive, and it's competitive enough basically to trigger the first investments, and then helps to lower the cost of electricity at the end. On the market side, we have first several sources of revenue for battery storage. The day-ahead market, where we see a growing interest, because basically we face a growing volatility. So this is why we have a lot of interest in this market, and we see week after week more space basically for battery storage and for load shifting. And we also have the ancillary services markets that Raul just introduced, explaining briefly the several markets that we have. And here we have typically highly attractive prices, among others, due to lack of competition. Right now, ancillary services are provided mostly by hydro and gas, and it's a relatively low competition, basically. So this is why it keeps prices high, also because of cost of gas, of course. And this is where storage should soon basically not only be approved for more services and can enter more, but generate an important disruption. And I will explain a bit more what we expect in a few minutes. And there will be also capacity market, which is late. We already discussed about that right now with Raul. And well, we expect in the coming weeks a new draft, and we expect that to finally come out, and because it's a really important part of for the future of storage, I will explain right now. So in terms of investment, we already have some pioneers that are already invested and are investing basically through liquidity. I will explain, and the financial sector still needs basically to adopt this technology and understand its challenges, to be able basically to consider it as it is doing now for wind and solar, for instance. So what we could expect for this decade. So basically today in Spain, here you see a timeline with several moments and an expected capacity addition for each moment in the future, and to have some indications, the amount of the investment that we may need to build this storage capacity. So today we already have a few megawatts of battery storage in Spain. Most of the units are small units, less than 1 megawatt. Some of them 100 kilowatt. Actually, basically, there are some pilot plants to test, see how it can work, both from mostly on the technical side, but also for some of them on the market part. There is one larger unit, around 6 megawatts, where that we already see operating in the market, and we see already how it is displacing energy, basically doing some load shifting. So right now we have basically some standalone and collocated assets, small ones, and also some behind the meter. And we expect, starting from next year, more plants entering. We will have medium-sized units, typically from 10 to 50 megawatts, standalone, collocated with solar, wind, and also, of course, behind the meter, starting from next year. So we will have some new plants entering. But these plants, we expect them to basically continue to be built on full equity, because right now, what we see from our point of view as independent consultant, and as because many of the new battery storage plants that are going to be built in Spain in the coming months work with us, so we know how they are going. And basically, yes, the first one right now, they are going to be built principally full equity, so without any external capital without bringing any external capital, basically, with sometimes also some refinancing after having built the plant, and when you have it operating, something that has been done already many times actually in the sector, also for wind and solar plants. And we expect that maybe to continue for at least a few years, because basically we will have new plants afterward. The coming plants also here in 2025 and 2026, some of them will take also some subsidies from the Spanish government. Yesterday, actually, we saw the opening of the new process for more subsidies for battery storage. So thanks to these subsidies, typically it can bring what the classical project finance could have given to these projects, but we expect by hopefully 3-4 years or no more to enter into a moment where, as storage will be the new normal, with more larger units for battery storage and strong growth, also to risk management, thanks to attractive cost, we will see more and more battery storage. We expect to see more classical project finance processes. Nevertheless, the battery storage is, by definition, a merchant asset. So, of course, we may not see the same kind of way to finance. Typically, the size of the debt that we may see for this kind of project may not be the same kind of what we see for wind and solar, typically when there is a PPA. Speaking about that, so let's have a quick look on the kind of revenue and business case that we can have, because PPA also can be an option for storage. But here we put the PPA at the bottom, basically because, first of all, PPA for storage, it's only when you do some collocation. What would you sign a PPA with your storage? If you have it collocated with a wind or solar asset, basically because it could help you to shift some generation and then be closer to a baseload price, a baseload PPA, for instance. So a regular injection along the day, and basically because it helps you to reduce the market risk, because it will help you to reduce your energy excess with respect to your PPA by storing them, and then you can inject energy from your battery storage when you miss energy that you would have purchased in the market. So this is the interest here. This is, of course, something that can help the project finance catalyzer, basically enabling it. That could work for the PPA. But anyway, your battery storage is used to reduce the risk looking at the market. So this is why basically the first part, the day-ahead market, is basically the most important component of the way a battery storage is used and of the revenue stacking of basically the business case, the use case. Day-ahead markets for standalone or collocated storage, of course. And basically here, as I said, we see a growing opportunity thanks to solar growth, which is strengthening the day-night price difference. And basically we see, well, depending on the scenario that we consider for next year and the year after, the scenario of power price plus the way you use your storage, of course, you can have several levels of capture price from 10 to 60, for instance, euro per megawatt hour. In the future, we see a floor higher for the load shifting, thanks to, again, the strong solar growth that we expect in Spain. So first part of the revenues, but it is not enough, of course, to repay for storage. This is why we need, for instance, a capacity market or even some subsidies that we are seeing already in Spain. Nevertheless, there is an interesting and strong and important opportunity around ancillary services. And this is basically what the pioneers are taking into account, the ones that are investing right now into storage and that are building already to build storage assets in Spain, battery storage assets, are looking at ancillary services, because this is where there is a lot of value to capture and where the first entering will capture most of the value, because of course we expect a price collapse. If we have more competition, the price will going to decrease. So typically for the secondary reserve, the AFR, for the European terminology, we expect extremely high level of revenue This one is expressed in euro per megawatt per hour for the bound, basically, of the secondary regulation for the one who are already familiar with that. And this kind of level of revenue are extremely attractive, even if storage is more expensive today than tomorrow. And because of that, we expect a strong collapse of this price in the coming years, because again, we'll have more competition. And for other kind of ancillary services, there is also attractive capital price that we can get. And also we expect some cannibalization. Because that's here, this is the risk, this is the thing that we have to take into account, and that will, of course, drive business case evolution financing possibilities. We have interesting revenues, opportunities in their head, extremely attractive in ancillary services, but extremely risky because they are fundamentally merchant. And this is why it's complex. This is what it is complex to match with financing issues, basically, and how to basically deal with that from a lender's point of view. This is basically why we are here, to help on this kind of questions. But this is really the kind of challenges that we have to solve in the coming years. How do we match the lender's expectations with the risk of the battery storage? And so really to summarize and finish and keep some time for questions. So as I said, technology is competitive, ready. Market is ready and attractive for pioneers right now, but it's true that we need something more to facilitate the financing in the coming years. We can do something for pioneers right now, but in a few years from now, it will be more complicated already. So as Raul mentioned, I said, they will disrupt, of course, the markets, impact the markets specifically on ancillary services, and this is what may jeopardize, of course, future financings. We can solve that with capacity markets, hopefully operating maybe not next year, but the year after. And we can also use some PPAs for collocated assets to support project finance. In that case, it's a bit more complicated, of course, because you have to see directly it as an hybrid plant and not as two separate plants. So other ways also to work, but nothing that we cannot address actually. And well, so this is it for me. And as Raul was saying, more to come in 2 months from now in the SolarPlaza Summit. Thank you very much, everyone.
Perfect. So thank you, Valentin and Raul. I invite you both to turn on your cameras for the question time. And to our attendees, you can put your questions on the box on the right. There's already a few coming in. So the first question is, you guys talk a lot about, this is the time for pioneers. So what is the potential rewards for these pioneers to act now instead of later?
Well, maybe I can take this one. It depends on many parameters, of course. It depends on the cost of the battery storage that you can get. It depends on when you enter. I cannot, of course, give some specific numbers, but we see some extremely attractive possibilities. But for pioneers, again, it isn't something for actors, players that are ready also to take the risk of doing it that way, of course.
Thank you. And this is a question for you, Raul, as well. Which of the upcoming regulations would you say present the greatest opportunity for investors and developers?
Okay, as I said before, the current situation or the current opportunities are the grants, this kind of grants under the recovery plan of the Next Generation Fund of the European Union, and the agenda of this plan linked in some kind of things with the repower plan of the EU. This is the only instruments that we have, and in addition, we have the expectation with this capacity market, capacity payment. The name, I think, is the less, and in my opinion, it will be at least along this next year, and probably the first call, as I said before, in 2025. The reason for that is because we are in the point that the storage is absolutely needed. No, as this is the reason why I saw the pump hydro function. I know most of the expected new markets are batteries, but we have to understand that if Spain hasn't, if Spain has the current penetration, this more than 50% of renewable energy today in our generation, is because we have this kind of facilities, this pump hydro, and today, previous years not, but today the last 2 years, probably 2022 was very hit, or the function was linked with the price of gas, so the spread was higher. But today we have the impact of the high amount of renewable energy in the system. So today storage is working, and the question is the price, and the time.
Nice. And to follow that on the price, and there's a question for you both. So Saku asks, how about the primary reserve, FCR? What is the current status in Spain, and can we expect any changes? Valentin, you want to take it first?
I think it's yeah, go ahead, please. I can complement.
The current situation is the primary reserve is obligated. It's a must service that every generator, every participant in the system has to provide. So today it's not a remunerated system, and in my opinion, it is going to be hard to change that in the short time. So I don't, or I will. I won't take into account to my revenue streams. Perhaps if the system operator, that is Red Eléctrica, began to review if this primary capacity is really provided by all the producers, perhaps it could be a secondary market when some producers or some facilities provide these services for others as facilities. So, but in my opinion, this is not a real revenue for next years, and in case of existing, it will be very low.
Yeah, I agree. If we look at other markets, Spain is not the only one that is not paying for these markets. It's true for this service. Sorry, it's something that can be strange. It's something mandatory, but you cannot pay for that. But it happens in other markets, not only in Spain. But there is also other markets where you get paid for that, for instance, France or Germany. But what we expect is typically, if tomorrow we get paid in Spain for this kind of services, as it should be also at the moment where we already have some battery storage, we do not expect.
Valentin, I think your audio cut out. Perfect. The last bit, I think, was cut out. If you want to repeat, we do not think from then on.
Sorry. So what we expect is, if tomorrow indeed we have this kind of market in Spain, we can pay for the primary regulation. We can see something similar to what happened in Germany, where the price collapsed when reduced a lot with respect to what it was before the battery storage entered in the market. And in Germany, actually, it's done with a lot of assets behind the meter, which is relevant insights to have in mind. Basically, this is it. Thank you.
All right. Well, I think that's all our time for questions. And I would like to thank you both for participating in this webinar, of course. And you can see Valentin and Raul at our event in, like they said, in 2 months. And if you joined, thank you for joining this webinar. We have a 10% storage discount code. And if you would like to use that, it's valid for a week. And hopefully we can see all of you. There were more questions, but we'll get to all of them at the conference. So I'm looking forward to all of it. Thank you once again to Raul and Valentin, and to all of our attendees. I hope you guys have a great afternoon and rest of the week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.